Hi crafty friends, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I'm going to share a card where I did no line coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. Now it's getting close to summer and I love everything summer and I love everything beach and seashells. I love seashells. So I am using the Seashells stamp and coordinating die, and then I'm using Honeybee Stamps no line ink, and I want to create this really pretty, almost like patterned paper background. And so I trimmed my card panel slightly smaller than an A2 size. I do end up having to trim it a little bit more later and you'll see why, but that's what I'm starting with. Now you can see I'm laying out some of my stamps in my MISTI. I'm having them go off the edge. Obviously you don't want everything, all your images floating in the center of the card panel, because that would look weird. So again, if this is like a patterned paper, things are going to go off of the edge. So I'm going to ink this up a few times with the no line coloring ink. I want to make sure that I have a good stamped image so I can see the lines and everything that I'm going to be coloring with, or coloring on, excuse me. I am using some watercolor cardstock. I like to use a Bristol Smooth watercolor cardstock. I am flipping my card panel around. I want to get some more of the seashell images in here, wanting to make sure that it looks fairly even on this background, kind of getting a few more seashells in. Once I get a good layout, then I can remove the other ones and ink these ones up as well. And then we will have the base for our background, and then we can start coloring. So let me ink this up one more time with that no line coloring ink. And then you can see we have this really, really pretty background. Okay, so I am just combining a lot of different colors. I looked online for some references, and then I just kind of did my own thing on some of them as well, keeping in these really pretty earthy colors with tans and browns and a little bit of light pinks, that kind of a thing. So I am using brown, beige, mid brown, oatmeal, light brown, natural beige, pale pink, light pink, and then we're going to add a little bit of shadow under these when we're done, and I will use light blue and light gray. Now you can see off to the right side of the camera I have a little bit of water in a dish, and usually when I color with my Zig markers I do a lot of blending out with water. This time I did a little bit of water, but the blending that I did was I would have a darker color marker and then blend it out with a lighter color if I'm not using the water. So on these dark stripes here I am going to use a little bit of water, but on the previous seashell I had a darker color brown and then came in with a lighter color brown and did the blending there. When you are blending with two Zig markers, so I'm going to be using my light to blend it out, you definitely need to wipe the tip off onto a dry paper towel kind of frequently. So in between each one of those circles on that right seashell, I would wipe my light marker off to get that darker color, because it's going to pick up that darker color marker. So if that makes sense. Okay, this little seashell, I'm using a pink and a light, really light tan. I think I did the natural beige with that one. I love this big seashell. My whole house is like coastal theme, and I have quite a few big, beautiful seashells and big pieces of coral in my house. And so, yeah, I love seashells. So this was a way fun card to color, and just looking at these seashells makes me feel nice and relaxed. So I think this is fun and beautiful. That one I did a little bit of pink, that pale pink, that was kind of the main color, and a little bit of that natural beige. This one has a little more of an orange tone to it. I do come in with a different kind of brown just to soften how yellowy orange it was, and then a little bit of that light pink as well. But you can see how these are coming to life on this background. Then we're also going to add a little bit of splattering here with a really fun, it's from my stash, but it's like a turquoise metallic paint. And that really adds a little something, and yeah, turns out super cute. Once these are done being colored, I do want to add a shadow. So I did talk about that kind of at the beginning. and I am going to use a light blue and a light gray. On this pink seashell here, I am adding a little bit of the brown to soften that bright pink. That was the light pink. Oh, excuse me. The other color, the really light pink, is pale pink. That bright pink right there is light pink. So I misspoke and I apologize. Okay, so I'm adding a really light line next to the seashell of the light blue. Then with the light gray, I'm going to just go over that a little bit thicker. I wanted to have a blue gray going on, not just a straight gray, because of course I want to bring in a little bit of blue. Then I have my water brush pen with no water in it, but just a paintbrush with a little bit of water. And then I can blend out just lightly where that shadow is. And I am definitely not an expert on shadows, so please don't judge me if they're in the wrong spot. I just put them where I wanted to put them. Okay, now I have a piece of light turquoise cardstock. I am using the Decal Edge A2 die cut. This is the largest one. And this is going to go behind our card panel. I thought bringing in some of this turquoise would look beautiful. But as you can see, my card panel is a little too big. So I'm going to trim this down about 1/4 of an inch total on all sides. And then I can place that right on top and we will have a nice mat. But I decided to do something a little extra to this panel. I'm taking my scissors. You know, this is a forever old technique, and just roughing up the edges. I'm not doing anything crazy, just a light rough up. And then I want to highlight that by using Antique Linen Distress Oxide ink around the edge. And I really just kind of kept it to the edge, maybe a tiny bit heavier on the corners, but I did not go over the whole background. Okay. Let's do the splattering. Like I said, this is some acrylic paint. It is like shimmery. It's so, so pretty. This is just something from my stash. I decided to add a little bit of water to it just to thin it out. And then I'm going to splatter this all over the background. And I'm so glad I did because it's so, so pretty. It just adds that little something extra, fills in a lot of that white space. It brings out that blue that we added as part of the shadow, and I think it turned out really, really pretty. Okay, let's do the sentiment, and I love this sentiment. It says, "Seashells are like love letters in the sand." Oh, I love it. And I used the metallic gold ink from Honeybee Stamps to stamp that on white cardstock, and then I'm using the coordinating die to die cut that out. Now, I do have some, this isn't twine, this is more like, I'm going to say jute. I think it's like jute. It's kind of like that, or like baker's twine, but a natural color. That's what I'm going to say. It's like baker's twine, but a natural color. And I'm going to wrap some around the bottom. I do want my sentiment to go over, but I thought bringing this in just kind of gives you more of that coastal vibe. So I'm going to tie a knot. I was deciding if I wanted to wrap it around one more time, but I didn't. So I decided to spread the two pieces on the side. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. And that way you can really see it here. Then I can slide that knot over. That way it can definitely be behind my sentiment. Now, because the knot is there, I do have to add 2 layers of foam tape behind my sentiment. I also want to add foam tape behind this whole card panel and adhere that to that turquoise background. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, here's my second layer of foam tape behind my sentiment. I did add a little bit of glue on the knot itself. That way, once everything is pressed down, you have this nice, your knot is not going to go anywhere. It's going to be glued to your sentiment. Trim off the excess. I added this to a white top folding card base, and look at how pretty this is. I just love how this turned out. It really was super simple, and the coloring was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.